Hello and welcome to my channel. So very quickly, my Factory 003 Digidesign, which is now 10 or 12 years old, which I absolutely love. I've used this constantly to help me record sessions and mix sessions in ProTools over many years. But unfortunately my iMac decided to explode a couple of months before Christmas, so I had to replace it. So I've replaced it with the Mac Studio and the Mac Studio monitor I've got here, and I've also updated my Pro Tools to the latest version and all my Waves products and plugins, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately my Digidesign Factory 003 is just no longer compatible with all the new technology. I could probably faff about and install a Windows version or do something, but there's no FireWire on the Mac Studio or anything like that, so there's just no point. And it's getting to that age anyway where I probably need to be looking at something else. But I've gone out and bought the SSL2 so the Solid State Logic 2 and there are reasons why I've gone for the 2 which I'll go into, but for now let's unbox this SSL2 which I'm very excited about. So this is going to replace that, hopefully in its entirety. Alright, let's get on with it. So here we go then. That's the front of the box. Solid State Logic. It's got that on the back of the box too. There's not much else on the box. There's a lot of words and pictures and icons which I can't read because I need my glasses for that. But as I said, basically this is going to be an audio interface for me to just get audio out of my Mac Studio into this and then be able to control the levels to my powered speakers, and also for headphones as well. I use headphones quite a lot. So let's have a look what's in the box. Oh, isn't it just so good getting new tech? Oh, especially this sort of tech. So in here we get a little thank you and a getting started guide, which is always great, isn't it? This should be plug and play though. I should be able to plug this in, bang, plug the speakers in. It should just work straight off the bat. So there's also a USB-C cable by the looks of it. There's another cable in here, hang on a moment. And the good old boys here at Solid State have included a USB to USB-C converter as well. So if you've got an older Mac, you've got the converter in here as well, so that's bloody good. Well done. Wish Apple would do stuff like that. I bought the Mac Studio and literally got a power lead. That was it. If you bought that for your kid, he's got no mouse, no keyboard, no way to hook it up to a monitor. What are they doing at Apple? Anyway, let's have a look at it. That's all in the box. Oh, look at them. Stick them to the wall and use them as acoustic treatment. That was a joke, by the way. It doesn't work. There you go. A pristine Solid State Logic 2 Oh, it smells so good. Ah, it smells so good. Look at that. Wow. Big smile on my face. That is awesome. So first impressions, obviously it's all shiny and brand new. Very first impressions are it's very light. I think it's got maybe plastic sides and a metal top or a metal finish top. I don't know if it is metal, but everything feels really good on it. Nice feeling to the knobs and the switches. Yeah, not too bad. They don't have the same feel as they do on my 12-year-old 003, and the smoothness of the dials. I mean, that's premium over there. Well, it was at the time, but this doesn't feel too bad, you know. Yeah, I'm liking that. So just a quick few features off the bat before I plug it in and show you exactly what this thing does. It's got a nice slope to it, so when it's sitting on your table, it's sort of facing up at you a little bit, which is great, so you haven't got to be, you know, looking over the surface to see where you are. Just got to put these on. So on the back here, we've got our main monitor outputs, and we've got, oh, these RCAs. There's RCAs there on the output side. Okay, so I think they might be for, you know, connecting to DJ equipment or something like that. Moving on across, you've got 2 headphone inputs. This is why I went for the 2 Plus, because it's got 2 headphone inputs, and sometimes I have guests in here and we have headphones on and the mic going talking about music, so it was important for me to have 2 headphone inputs. So that's great, that's on there. It's also got a MIDI in and out, which I don't think I'll ever use, because obviously MIDI goes through my complete control keyboard straight into the Mac. Obviously the connectivity there, the USB connectivity, and it's got the lock on, whatever you call that. Is it the Kensington lock or something like that? And also for your inputs, it's got one of these multi-input adapters, so you can plug your jack in there, or you can plug, you know, the mic, the chunky mic, I don't know what they're called, connections in there. My experience of these multi-connections has not been great over the years, but Solid State Logic, they know what the hell they're doing. So if they've put these connectivity on here, these connections on here, they must be fine. So we'll try those out. We've got a massive volume knob, which is great. It's a very smooth knob. It doesn't, you know, it hasn't got sections. It doesn't go up like my others do. It's nice and smooth, nothing wrong with that at all. You've got a monitor mix here, some buttons there, stereo button, and there's your headphone mix, and you've got your channel 1 and channel 2. These are your inputs, and you've got the iconic 4K button, which gives it that Solid State Logic sound wherever you're running through there. Again, whether I use that, I don't know. I'll have to try it out. But yeah, that's, oh, you get a little light on there as well to tell you when it's connected. So yeah, I'm not sure what some of these buttons do. You've got phantom power on there, I can see, and high Z, things like that. But overall, it feels pretty good. I have actually made a mistake here, and I researched this to death, and I think I've missed this. So I got the 2 Plus thinking I'd got 2 headphones coming out, which I have. I thought I had 2 sets of monitor outputs. I've only got 1 set of speakers at the moment, but I'm looking to buy a second pair, a larger pair, and I thought I'd be able to come out of this to both of them and then A/B mix. It doesn't look like I can do that, so I've screwed that up. But this is to get me over this SSL2 Plus, is to get me through a period where, you know, my things are not working at the moment, to a point where I can probably upgrade this or get another one to be able to go out to other monitors and do other stuff with. So me, I like controller surfaces like this, where I can control faders and mixes, mastering, all that kind of stuff. So this will get me by until I get something similar to that. But I've heard on the grapevine from all the research I've done that these are fantastic. So let's get that out. Let's put this in and let's see what it does and what it sounds like. All right, catch you in a bit. It's going to look a bit lost there, isn't it? But at least I can get my hard drives back over here now. Spread them out a little bit. So we've got a USB-C here. Goes in there. Okay, so I've moved the unit over here so it's easier for me to film. Sorry about the lighting, it's not really good in here. So what I'm going to do is turn this on for the first time so you can see what happens when it boots up, and then I'll take you, now I've had a chance of reading through the manual and doing a bit of research, I'll take you through all the features on the unit. Okay, so let's turn it on and see what happens. Well, there you go. It's all connected up to the computer but via the USB-C. I've got my main speakers connected up to the balanced outputs there, and I've got my little mic plugged in here with the, I think that's an XLR end. Right, let's take you through the features on this very quickly. So going from the left of the unit to the right of the unit, so you've got two inputs at the back of this. You can either put these XLR jacks in for microphones, which I've done here. So you can put an XLR in and an XLR in on channel 2, or you can put an XLR in here for your mic and an instrument through a jack plug, a TRS or a TS, I think they are, or a TR. So 1/4 inch jack goes in the back of that multi-input as well. So you can go microphone, guitar into channel 2, for instance, and then you can control them both independently here, channel 1, channel 2. So once you've got your input going in there, if you want to hear it straight away, so obviously make sure your speakers are switched on and plugged in. If you move the monitor mix all the way over to monitor mode, so all the way to the input mode, what you'll get is very, very low latency monitoring of anything that you plug into these two channels. So if you just want to sing through the mic, obviously be careful if you've got your speakers loud that you don't cause a feedback loop. But if you want to listen to your mic then, or your instrument that you've plugged in here, and you don't need to do anything on the computer, then obviously go all the way over to input and you can hear it coming through the unit. Turning up the volume, it's as simple as using the big knob here, which goes up to 11. So it goes one louder. Okay, so if you've got a microphone plugged into channel 1 and it's a condenser microphone, then you're going to need some phantom power to help power the mic. And there's a plus 48V button there. So only for microphones, if you've got your microphone plugged in there via the XLR jack, then you want to give it some power by hitting the plus 48V button. You'll see, or you notice, that the 0 flashes 3 or 4 times, the red flash. While it's flashing and putting that power on, it actually mutes the microphone. It takes a couple of seconds and then you should be good to go. If you want to turn the microphone up, your input gain is there. Okay, so this is exactly the same on both channels, by the way. And if you want to put the, I think it's the 4000 console legacy switch on, which has got that iconic SSL sound for any input you put in here, then you just hit that 4K button and it brightens up the signal a little bit and it adds a little bit of saturation, I believe, across the frequency range. It's supposed to sound quite nice. It's certainly sounded quite nice back in the 80s, 70s, etc. So we might give that a go later on. So if you haven't got a microphone plugged in here and you want to plug a keyboard in, a synthesizer or a guitar or anything like that, clearly you don't want the 48V power on. Okay, so turn that off. So that's just for your microphone if you've got a condenser microphone. If you've got a dynamic microphone, you don't need that button press. You don't need the 48V power going through it. Okay, but if you plug in anything else in there, like a synth or a guitar, then you've got these other two buttons here. So the first one, if you press that in, it actually changes the input to the jack that's in that multi-input. So that's telling the unit that in channel 1 you've got a line signal coming in rather than a microphone. And if you are plugging a guitar or a bass guitar in or anything like that, if you use the high Z button as well, you can see on the diagram that they're linked there. So they don't do anything unless they're both pressed, I don't think. So you push down the high Z button, which gives you more clarity of signal for guitars, bass guitars, that sort of thing. So sorry, just to correct myself there, you can use the line input on its own if you don't want to use the high Z button. But if you do need high Z, it won't do anything unless the line button is pressed. Okay, it needs a line input to actually do anything there. Okay, then clearly recording your microphone or your instrument, you've got 3 green lights that come on. You've got an amber light, and then the top one is a red light. So as long as you're staying in the green and occasionally hitting the amber light, then you've got a good signal coming in there. Okay, so it's exactly the same for channel 2. It's all independent, so they're independent from each other. You can change your levels separately, whether you've got a mic or a synth or a guitar in either one, and you can do your line and high Z separately as well. So these are completely independent. Okay, moving across the middle, you've got your light here, which means that your USB is receiving power. So if you've plugged it into the right socket on your machine, then you'll receive a green light there to tell you that there's power coming through. This hasn't got an adapter, a power adapter, so it takes all its power from the USB lead there. I wouldn't advise using any leads over 3 meters. You get 1 meter leads in the box for this unit, and they're good enough. If you can get it quite close to where you plug in, then great. And another tip is always plug it directly into your PC or your Mac, and not into a an external USB hub. Okay, and obviously you've got your main monitor output. Change the volume of your speakers up and down, and then up here you have a monitor and a mix button. So if you're just monitoring yourself singing through headphones and you want to just hear your voice through one of the inputs, then turn this all the way to the left and you'll just get a low latency signal of your voice, which is great for practice. And if you're using the unit in ProTools or Logic or any of those different music recording software, then that signal will come through on the mix here. So if you're on my Mac now and you play some music on the Mac, if you turn it all the way to the right hand side, you'll get that at full volume, and you won't get any input signal coming directly through the speakers or your headphones. And if you want to play some music through your system and also monitor yourself either playing guitar or singing or whatever you've got in these inputs, then you can balance the signal using that knob. Okay, there's a stereo button on there. The only time you should push that stereo button down is if you've got an instrument that's got a stereo signal which goes into both channel 1 and channel 2. So if you put a synthesizer with a stereo output on it, if you put the leads in channel 1 and channel 2, then if you press the stereo button, you'll hear both channels in the right ears in your headphones or through your speakers or into your software. If you're not doing that, which most of us won't, and you just put in one source in, then don't use that button, because if you do, it'll just put the signal into your left ear or your right ear, depending on where you've got it in. So just leave that unpushed unless you're going to use it for a stereo signal coming into both channels. Okay, and then if you've got 2 sets of headphones plugged into the back of this, which I will have, you've got independent controls for each one. Okay, so you can control headphone 1, headphone 2 using those dials. And if you want to send a different mix from your DAW to another engineer, or if somebody's sitting with you and they want to listen to a headphone mix, you can actually, instead of sending to outputs 1 and 2, you can send to outputs 3 and 4 in Pro Tools or Logic or whatever. And if you press that, then a different mix, the headphone mix, will go to those headphones and your mix will stay the same here. Okay, so that's what the 3 and 4 button is. Okay, so just very quickly, on the back of the unit, you've got your main monitor balanced outputs for your main speakers. And next to it, you've got 2 sets of RCA outputs. These are unbalanced, and unbalanced line outputs 1 and 2, they can be controlled with the main dial here. But for unbalanced line outputs 3 and 4, there is no volume control for those at all. It's just a direct out. So if you connected it to a DJ mixer or something like that. And then moving across the back, I know I haven't got the back up here, I'll probably put a picture up. We've got the 2 headphone jack plugs there. and we've got a MIDI in and a MIDI out, so you can connect you know, a synth into there, or drum machine, or whatever you need to do. And next to that, there's the Kensington security slot, so it's the lock. That I don't think I've ever used one of them ever. But that's the unit. It's quite nice, and it could do with facing up a little bit more on the angle. It's still a little bit flat, but it's better than being totally flat. And one thing I would like for this is a cover. I'd like to be able to put a cover on this so we don't get any crackly dials, you know, months down the line. But overall, it looks pretty good on the desk here. It's easy to use. Well, it looks easy to use. But what I'm going to do now is get it into ProTools and see what it does, see what it sounds like, see if there's any difference in the sound of this than there was with my old gear that I've been using for the last 11 or 12 years. Right, so let's see what it looks like in the Mac. So it's plugged into the USB-C where it gets its power from, and it's obviously it's full connectivity. This is my Mac, so if I go on my Mac desktop and look at the little speaker icon there, sound icon, I can see now that it's just popped up, SSL2 Plus, all my Pro Tools stuff's there as well. My studio display speakers and my Mac Studio speakers are there. So we are in. You can also get to it from sound settings. If you click on sound settings, you can see the settings in and out from the SSL2 Plus. What's interesting, I think I've just noticed, is that you can't adjust the volume, which was the case on my old Mac actually. So it just sends out a full signal, hopefully as clean as possible, to the SSL2 Plus. So no volume controls for the Mac by the looks of it. You're supposed to just control it on your door or on the actual unit itself. So what I wanted to do, I know this is quite a comprehensive review and test, but I think it's important because these are quite cheap. These SSL2 Pluses are quite cheap in retrospect. The gear I had before was thousands and thousands of pounds, and this is extremely cheap. So it'd be interesting to know how it sounds. I've got some mixes that I've done that are already on YouTube, and I've got a few in iTunes, I think. I know them very, very well, and I want to have a listen to them through this SSL to see if they sound any different. So let's have a look at that. So I do intros for my bike channel. I put music over it and all that kind of stuff, and I record it in this room. So all this I recorded on my old kit, and it'd be interesting to see what it sounds like. These are my Sennheisers plugged directly into the SSL. And I'm going to have a listen to a mix I know extremely well. Oh, wow. Okay. This is very interesting for me. So there is far too much low end in that song, in that tune, which sounded perfectly fine on my Digidesign console. So the reason I'm doing this as well is because people tell me I've got too much low end in my mixes, and I can hear it on this SSL2 Plus. So there's only one of two things that could be true. Either this is lying to me or my Digidesign is, and I'm inclined to believe that my Digidesign has been lying to me, because this sounds extremely clear and detailed, but there's far too much low end going on there. That's very interesting to me. I would say this is giving me a more accurate signal, more accurate listening experience, which will really help me out when I'm doing mixes. If I was to go back and remix that now using the SSL, I'd mix it totally differently. So this is a more recent mix. This is one my daughter did in this room. We mixed and mastered it in this room on my old gear. So it'd be interesting to hear how this one pans out.
You were all I ever had. I hold my heart between your hands. 'Cause you told me you would hold my soul till the days when we get a weekend. Oh, why can't we just run through like you told me? I keep wondering how to save me. Scratch the record and play me all your favorite songs. And maybe you'll be the one to save me. Take a picture and frame me on your Polaroid until the lights go.
This is even more interesting. So it looks like I've been taking people's advice when they're saying I've got too much low end, and I've been dialing out too much of it because it's gone from this track.
I know I tried my best for you.
Also, the vocals are not sitting in the mix very well, and there's compression issues. I can hear compression issues. I am really impressed with this.
I'll make it through. Part of me believes that we gave up on us too soon.
Very, very interesting. One more very quick one. There's one in iTunes that I've got. So this is a mix that we're currently doing, or we was doing before my old iMac blew up. So let's get this up. Just want to play a little bit of it. This hasn't been mixed at all or mastered, but we've been popping the instruments in. There's still a lot of work to do on it, but I just wanted to hear one part of it and see how that sounds. I just want to hear the middle bit of this, literally 10 seconds of it. I know this very well, so I'll know straight away. Yeah. Okay. So what I've established personally is that my old mixes were not good. I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure this has convinced me. Listening to those back, I'm going to listen to another 20 that I've done just to make sure. I'm pretty sure that this is giving me a truer signal than my Digidesign stuff did through Firewire, which is very strange, isn't it? Like I say, that was thousands of pounds. These are dirt cheap. These are. I can hear loads more detail as well in the mid-range, and definitely I've mixed too much low end into some of these tracks. Man, I am extremely impressed with this at the minute. Extremely impressed. I'm also going to try it on my Neumann speakers and see if I should get the exact same result, but I'll try that as well and report back. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open a Pro Tools session and try it in Pro Tools. Just show you how it appears in Pro Tools. It's been very difficult trying to do this review. It's quite hard. I've got a couple of cameras, a couple of mics, because I want to show you the differences in mics, so get you a few angles. So it's been a nightmare. So I'll probably change clothes 2 or 3 times. It took me a few days to do this. But let's get into Pro Tools and let's show you what it looks like. Maybe give it a little test. So I'm having to do this all in headphones because obviously I'll get feedback otherwise and it won't be very good. But let's have a look at Pro Tools. So there we go. Well, I'm in Pro Tools. So I've got my studio mic here, which should be pointed at this camera so you can see it. And I've got a Rode mic behind my camera, so quite a decent mic behind the camera that you're listening to now. First of all, let me just show you the difference in quality between the camera mic, which is a Rode mic, and my Audio Technica mic, which is going through the SSL2 Plus. So let's have a listen to that. So what you're listening to now is the unedited version of the Rode mic on the camera. So I do heavily edit that mic because it's pretty rough. So this is unedited audio from the Rode mic camera. And if I turn the input gain up on my Audio Technica mic, this is my Audio Technica mic. So the difference should be extreme. This is a professional grade studio mic. It's condenser mic, so it needs the 48 volt phantom power. And this is going directly through the SSL2 Plus. So this is the Rode mic, and this is the Audio Technica mic going through the SSL. Okay, so if we look at Pro Tools, I've set up a quick session here. If we go to set up playback engine, you'll see that it's got the SSL2 Plus selected. I'm on a very low buffer size because the machine, the Mac is very fast. It doesn't need a high buffer. It can handle loads of plugins. So I keep that quite low. And it just worked. I haven't messed with any settings at all in Pro Tools, and you'll see that input 1 there is the mic going into the input 1 in the SSL, and everything's going out through analogs 1 and 2, which is straight into the SSL and then out through my headphones and my speakers. So it's very simple. Should we try the 4K button? I don't think I'm going to be able to give you a very comprehensive test today on the 4K button. That's going to take a session and a singer and, you know, get a tune together, I would think. But let's just see if it makes a difference anyway. So this is the Audio Technica mic without the 4K going through the SSL. This is now the Audio Technica mic going through the SSL using the 4K switch. I'll try and put these side by side so you can maybe see some sort of difference. I would think the difference would be in the singing range, you know, higher frequencies, etc. So this is without, this is without, this is without, this is with, this is with, this is with. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Also, I've got a little plug-in on here of my complete control, so we should be able to hear that. Like I said, I haven't changed any settings. It should loop automatically through the SSL. Don't sound too bad. It sounds great through the headphones. Okay, stick around for my final verdict, which is coming up right now. So what have we learned then? And what's my final verdict? I realise this video's gone on for a while, but I did want to get into some detail with this. It was so simple to use and understand. I felt that I could talk about it quite easily, though I usually struggle to talk about stuff. So I've written down some cons and pros regarding this unit, and it has really surprised me, as you've probably gathered. So let me go through the cons of the unit first. So this is purely from my perspective, you know, from using it to power speakers, headphones, and using it in Pro Tools. So the first con for me is that it hasn't got dual balanced outputs, and you use that if you've got two sets of speakers and you want to A/B test. You want to keep flicking between the two to make sure you've got your mixes right. There's none of that, so that was a bit of a shame. I missed that one when I was looking at this SSL2 Plus before I bought it. So it's a bit of a shame. I would rather of them taken out the MIDI connectivity and the RCAs and actually put two lots of outputs. So that's a con for me. It's got no mute button either. You can't actually mute the unit. Even when you turn the big volume dial all the way down to 0, you can still hear it coming through just a tiny little bit. I'm used to just hitting a mute button, and unfortunately this hasn't got one. There's no on-off button, so it's always on when it's connected to your machine. And a lot of the time I don't use it. You know, I'm just going through YouTube or editing a video using the studio display speakers. So you want to, you know, make these things last as long as possible by turning them off and giving them a rest. But this is always on. I think that's a bit of a con. There's no cover for it, and there's not one that I can find at the moment. I hope they do start making them and releasing them, because over time these dials will definitely get crackly, no doubt about it. No one can escape that, no company, unfortunately. So it'd be good to cover it up. So for now it'll be a tea towel or something like that. So the next thing is the multi-adapter inputs. I find that a really strange choice, because the sole purpose of this unit and units like it is to take audio into it as cleanly as possible and to put it out as well as cleanly as possible. So you've got separate headphone sockets, you've got your separate left and right speaker outputs, but getting the signal into the unit using a multi-adapter, I think that's a very strange choice, but they sound good at the moment. Let's see if they stand the test of time. It's just a bit of a strange choice for me, but yeah, there you go. I think that's a bit of a con on the system. The next one is the headphone sockets. To plug your headphones into it, not on the front of the unit or even on the side, would have been great. You have to reach around the back to plug them in and then trail your wires around the back of the unit. So that's form over function, if you ask me. It makes the unit look better, but functionality, it would be great to be able to plug them and unplug them in the front or in the side. So again, that's just me. I prefer to have the headphone adapters and the sockets where I can actually get to them. One other slight con is it's got a plastic feel. I don't think the top is metal. I think it's just made to look metal. It looks very clean and nice, but I think there's a lot of plastic on it. Is that a con? No, it's really tough one putting that down. But just to let you know, it does have a plastic feel to it. I think it's important that I tell you that. It's got unbalanced RCA sockets. Do you know anyone who would be using this on a DJ deck or anything like that? I don't. I know 4 DJs, and they've never spoken to me about Solid State Logic. I don't think I know anybody who would use them RCA outputs. So if you know what possible use they could be for, then please let me know in the comments, because I can't think of one. So I'm not sure why they put RCA sockets on the back. I really wish they'd have put another set of outputs, balanced outputs, but there you go. Them are all the cons I've got, really. The pros, though. Let me get into the pros. I mean, good God, the first one is value for money. So this, in my opinion, is a cheap unit. As far as musical gear goes, it's quite cheap. It's very affordable. But it doesn't sound cheap. So number one, it's brilliant value for money. Secondly, and incredibly, it sounds utterly fantastic. So since I recorded the last segment, I've been listening to a ton of stuff through my Neumanns on that unit, on that SSL. It sounds so much different to what I'm used to, but more detailed, more clarity, tighter low end. I could go on and on and on. The converters in it sound absolutely amazing for the money. I can't get my head around that at the moment. It's a fantastic sounding unit, that SSL2 Plus. It really is. I'm really glad I bought it just for that alone. It's got metering capability. So yeah, I know there's only 3 green lights, an amber one and a red one, but it does give you the ability to look at it, glance over to it and make sure you're just not coming in too hot. I think that's a really good feature on it. The 4K ability on as well, hitting that button. I had to listen to the last segment I did when I was trying it out. It makes an incredible difference in the frequency range. And I would guess a vocalist singing in through that converter would sound really good. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that 4K switch out. So another pro for me is that it's got dedicated switches, buttons, knobs. It's all there. It's all manual. You have to push things and turn things and get them right. And it's very, very good and very far removed from touchscreen rubbish that you get these days. You have to go through menu after menu after menu. Like I say, it was easy to review this because I could just grab a button and tap it and turn the knob, and fantastic. I much prefer dedicated buttons like this. The next one is it's got the stereo feature, so if you plug a synth in, a left and a right signal into the inputs, you can balance it out by hitting the stereo button. Job done. I didn't even know that was a thing on these units, but it's got it, and in my eyes that's a massive plus for it. It's got 2 headphone sockets. I really need 2 headphone sockets, so I'm saying this is a pro. It's got 2 headphone sockets, which I need, so brilliant. And both of them you can control independently very simply. And another feature is you can send another mix to the other set, which is great. I never thought that would have been a feature on these units, but it is. And it's fantastic. The next thing is it's very light, it's very compact, and it's portable. And it's got no chunky power leads. So if you need to take this anywhere, you could just throw in a backpack with the USB-C cable if you've got a laptop that you use it from. Very portable, very light. I would expect to be easy to carry around, so very mobile. Okay, there's quite a lot of pros here, isn't there? It's got direct monitoring, so you can turn the mix monitor knob all the way around to the left, plug your mic into channel 1, plug your guitar into channel 2, put your headphones on, and just direct monitor, which is brilliant. That's a brilliant idea. I don't think I could do that in my Digidesign controller. I don't think it had that feature. So that is brilliant from my point of view. So anybody learning to play guitar or singing while they're playing guitar, what a great feature that is. It's got the sloped front on it, so you don't have to peer over the top every time you want to see what's going on. You can see it all there. It's right in front. Yeah, that's a great pro to it. Next, it's got seamless integration. Like I say, USB-C straight to the USB-C on the Mac Studio, and I didn't even see anything happen. I didn't think it had worked. Just appeared, and it appeared in ProTools. No problem whatsoever. Also, they gave you multiple connectivity, so you've got a USB-A to USB-C adapter in there, and you've got the USB-C plug in there. So if you've got an older Windows machine or an older Mac with just USB, you can still use it, and you don't lose any of the quality at all. I've actually read up on that. You don't lose quality at all. So it's great that they included that in the box as well, especially for this money. And the last thing I wanted to say is that it's got loads of power. So in monitoring through my little Neumann speakers, I can't get this above halfway before it's really loud. I mean, too loud for me. So halfway on the big knob is way too much for me. So it's got oodles of power on the outputs, and also on the headphones as well. It must have some really good converters there, whatever you call them. I don't know what you call them, because halfway on the headphone knob as well, it is incredibly loud. So just to finish off, this video has gone on far too long. I could have actually gone into a hell of a lot more detail, but I chose not to, because I knew this video would just go on and on otherwise. Final verdict is, I am so glad that I bought this. It's really opened my eyes to a new world of Solid State Logic. I've never bought anything Solid State Logic before. I've heard they were good, never been able to afford them, and now they've brought these units out. Well, I'm in there, Solid State. And I'm sold on it. It's absolutely marvelous. It really is. So my advice, if you're trying to compare, it's very hard to do that unless you actually get your hands on a load of items. This is better than my thousands and thousands of pounds worth of Digidesign that I've been using for the last 12 years. And it costs next to nothing compared to that. So I think it's fantastic. That's it. I just want to say thanks very much for watching this video. If you can sub to me, that would be great. I'll be doing loads more reviews on all this stuff that I've got. So if you can sub, that'd be brilliant. If you can't, don't worry about it. You're all welcome here. But please let me know in the comments if you've got anything to say about this unit, or any more negatives that I haven't thought of, or am I completely wrong? I don't think I am. It sounds fantastic. All right, well, you have a great day. I'm going to end this video abruptly, and I will see you in the next vid. All right, bye bye.